So much. I am honored to be able to spend a few minutes, although the minutes have gotten longer since I was first told how long I can talk, which is never a problem for me. Um, I want to thank Leah and thank George and President Scott for giving me an opportunity to share. And I'm going to do my best to share what's happening at Friends Indeed, as well as kind of what's happening in the community during this challenging time. Um, Friends Indeed has five major programs. One of them being the bad weather shelter, which is closed already. We have a food pantry, we have a women's room, day shelter for homeless and at-risk women. We have a street outreach program, and we have a homelessness prevention program trying to keep people from being evicted. The main program that's in operation now is our food pantry. Street outreach has primarily been suspended. Our women's room, unfortunately, is also suspended, save for we've been reaching out, our staff and volunteers, to the women that we have numbers or contact for to keep in touch and to make sure they know we're thinking about them, and if there's anything we can do. We do hope that we could perhaps open the women's room in a limited way, particularly for showers, perhaps for laundry and some food, after we see how the pantry goes and primarily what happens in a few weeks in terms of the stay-at-home orders and any changes. But our food pantry reopened after a few weeks of being closed yesterday. And if you're not familiar, traditionally we really try to serve all our clients with compassion, connection, dignity. We're a faith-based organization. And so normally we let our folks come in and shop, quote unquote, to pick the foods that they want in our small market area. And we really allow folks to pick the foods they like, to pick the foods that their kids will like, that won't go to waste, and then to also have the experience of dignity to shop just like the rest of us. Unfortunately, obviously, in these times, we had to stop that process because we have a very small food pantry space, and so there is no way to have any sort of social distance or safety. Currently, we have set up in many ways like a traditional food pantry. So people are lining up along the side of the building. We have our staff that are on site. We have a lot of volunteers, including city workers who are not working right now. They've come to volunteer, and we're really grateful, Parks and Rec Department and to the Housing Department and to the city manager for offering not only people but supplies, equipment. So we're really grateful for that. So our pantry is open to anyone who's in need of food. The majority of these people are not homeless. These are many seniors, working poor, single moms, fixed income, larger families, and it's pretty low barrier. If you need food, then we're going to let you come and get food. Right now, we have to offer bags of food or boxes of food, really limiting the choice people have. So we do our best to put in a variety as best we can of foods. Normally we like to have a cultural diversity. We have a lot of Chinese seniors. We have a lot of folks from different cultures. We try to have different foods available for them to choose. Unfortunately now everyone's pretty much getting the same bag of food. We're trying to put in a little bit more than normal based on your family size, but people will get a bag of food. People will get a bag of produce, whatever we have available, and some sort of frozen protein meat. They do get to choose that, and so we have a system in the parking lot, and it's kind of like a little mini farmers market. People running back and forth, signing. Our staff signs them in. We bring the food, and we try to move people along. Um, Normally, we see about 350 households a week before this crisis. Um, we were closed for 2 weeks, in large part because we had a volunteer who was exhibiting symptoms. So out of caution, we had to close. And so right in that, we did do this system of people coming outside for about 10 days during the crisis when it started. And so we saw about 500 people, families, households in that time. And so we were expecting that. It's been a little slower. Yesterday was about 140 households. We're still open now, so I'm not sure of the numbers right now. But we're expecting it to pick up as people learn that we're open and get back, in touch with us, because we know it's been a hardship for folks. We saw in that first 10 days, and we anticipate seeing more first-time people who have never come to the food pantry, or people who have not had to come in many, many years because of unemployment rising, because of people losing wages, people who are, needing for the first time to feed their families. And that's really very challenging. It's really challenging to see people who this is new for them. Some people have been coming for years, and we know them, and it's we try to provide a positive experience. But if you've never done this before, you can just see on people's faces that how hard this is, and it's uncomfortable. It can be scary, and folks have to come with their kids because they're not in school, and so we do our best to try and provide that support as best we can. But we know that first-time people, this is it's hard enough with what's going on, but to have to come and to get food. And not have the normal way that you do it. And this is supplemental, so these folks are able to mostly still shop if they can, but we're supplementing their food. So, and obviously I'll have time for questions. But the pantry is one of the challenges we're going to see is that food is in shorter supply. And so the LA Regional Food Bank, their supply is down, and so for all the food banks in LA County, we're all struggling, and so that's going to be a challenge as we go forward. And if we see the numbers rise, the food that we can get, and it's causing us to purchase food for the first time, really in large quantity. But we're going to do our best to provide things that we as much as we can. So I'm not asking for any donations. That was clear. But I want you to know, if you so want to, we're only taking food donations on Fridays and Saturdays, not all the time, because it's too crowded in our parking lot and in our system. So on Fridays and Saturdays. And I'll talk about things that we can use in the question period. But I wanna also express gratitude. We have partners, obviously, in the community who are working and who are really helping. And so two of them are members, Ann Miskey, the head of Union Station. They are working hard, both with food and with their shelters and with their homebound clients. They serve the whole San Gabriel Valley. And I know that it's been, I don't know if Ann's on the call, I know that it's been hard, especially at the family center. These kids not only aren't going to school, but they can't really leave the area. And so it's really hard. And their programs that normally serve way more people have been limited. I also know our other member, Captain Terry, in the Salvation Army. Their food bank has been open, and they're serving more people. And so we're all, the congregations, a lot of them are still having their food pantries, and people doing their best to take care of those who are in need. Um, I don't know, as everyone, I don't know how this ends, and we are. Uh, it's part of my job to look to the future and to assess in what ways will our programs be able to return. I don't know when we could have the women's room open to the full extent of what we did before, allowing women to come in, shower, laundry, but mostly community, being around, having classes, having programs, eating food. And it's I don't know when we're going to be able to do that again. I hope, but that program is one of our most significant on a day-to-day basis, because those ladies are mostly homeless. Most of them are seniors, and so we're kind of a lifeline for them, not just for the critical needs, but for the community, for their mental, spiritual health. I'm not sure when that will be able to resume. The other part is our street outreach, to get out on the street, to engage people like we were doing. We're waiting to see when we could begin to do that on a more full basis. But we are still able to house some people that we had contact with before remotely. We put a few folks into permanent housing. And so we're really grateful for that. So I see that I can see the questions coming in the comments. So, but one of the people asked, I wanted to give some hope. What is the hope in this time, where folks are really feeling challenged? And I should say, we are all very blessed. I don't know everyone here, but we're in our homes or in our offices, and I imagine this is a challenging time. It is a frustrating time. It is something that is inconvenient, but I imagine most of us are able to make it through. It's not to the extent that we would like, but the folks we're seeing, their life was already hard enough as it is. And now this is just one more piece. But the folks who we see, the gratitude is still there. These folks just keep saying thank you. And even though we've had to change how we do things, they're still grateful. And so that's inspiring to us, that there's still that sense of gratitude, that sense of appreciation. And it makes us and the volunteers, feel like we're doing something in this time when it seems like it's very little to do. People are making these masks. We're getting a lot of masks donated, and these aren't just the medical masks. I mean, there was a lady in the post office today. She had a little mask business, and she was mailing off masks all over the country. And I heard her, because she was taking a long time in the post office, that for every mask she was selling for $5, she was donating to other masks, and glittery and special. And so people are trying, in the neighborhoods, people are trying to reach out. I feel that, I hope that something is going to be different when we come out of this, from the positives that we've seen in this, to the extent that we need less, we're outside more, there's no traffic, but that the ways we've changed our lives hopefully will stick with us and influence how, once we go back to whatever it is that normal is. Anyone who had stock in Zoom is really excited, but we're seeing shifts in our culture that might have only been talked about, and people working from home, school online, just different ways to connect and doing things that we might not have done. And we had a program that is running, this Pantry Fill the Gap program. I'm really grateful to Idea Lab. They gave us this program. of wanting to connect local restaurants. They were concerned that local restaurants are suffering, and to help our folks who are in need of a meal, perhaps, especially when our pantry was closed. So they came to us, and we've made a connection of our families and the folks at Idea Lab, Tom McGovern, Marcia Goodstein, their team, have connected with local restaurants who are delivering food to families that we provide. It's been over like 150 families, and the generosity of people, we've raised about $30,000 for that program. So we're going to just keep sending food, and that is an idea of combining, and that's really, Pasadena is really special that way. That now we're helping those who are suffering in the business community, local independent restaurants, helping those in need, and they're doing it very generously. They're giving us lower cost and delivery, and we're happy to funnel the money when people are donating, and that we get to help our families, and that in the process help local businesses. So that's what I had prepared to say. I want to see. I see chat. So I don't know, President Scott, if you want me to go through these questions that I see, or do you want to call on people?
Yeah, we're going to pull out a few of these questions.
Okay.
Scott, Frank, thank you very much. Josh, I appreciate that, and I appreciate all that you're doing at Friends Indeed.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and keep positive and keep inspirational. We appreciate it. All right, Zoom team, how do you want to ask questions? So as you're trying to figure that out, I'm going to ask one.
Okay.
Can you talk to me a little bit about how Friends Indeed and the Food Pantry is gathering data in order to tell the story of how COVID-19 impacted the community of Pasadena from your organization's point of view over a period of time?
Yeah, that's a great question. Normally, we'd have a much more comprehensive data collection because we could go slower and talk to people more. So our staff checks everyone in, and we'll if we know the person already, if they're a usual client, then we have one list. If they're a first-time client, we have another list, and we're tracking every day how many people how many households are coming, and and keeping track of how many are new. And so we're going to see, that's what we're most interested in how many are there new families. We're able to get the size of the family. We try to get some information at the same time, keeping people 6 feet apart. But we're going to be, our director, Tim, is very good at data collection, and the LA Regional Food Bank will want to know, the LASA will want to know, and so we're doing our best to see. And we keep track always of how much food is brought in and how much food goes out.
Being on the front lines, of course, you have stories to tell, and so I look forward to you and Friends Indeed to tell those stories in 2021 as we reemerge from this time.
Thank you.
Is there someone on the Zoom team that could scroll through the chat and read the questions, please?
Yes. I think the first question, it looks like some have been asked and answered as we go through, but the first one that I see that has not been, and it looks interesting to me, is from Tammy Silver, and that is, what is your opinion of Project Roomkey?
Right, Operation Roomkey. So that is, if you don't know, that is it's really a statewide program of connecting motels and hotels that are empty and that are willing with homeless folks who are not sick with the virus, but who are at risk or more vulnerable, more susceptible. So in Pasadena, the housing department has been running that with a few different motels, which I know we've put 60, everyone's 60 folks. At the moment, it's I think sold out because of the number of motels rooms that we need. But Union Station has put a lot of folks in. Um, the idea is that these folks get off the street. They get in an isolation space. The city is providing. They've hired some case managers that are on site. They've created a meal program so that food is delivered 3 times a day. The city's paying for this, and then we, as the service providers, if we put someone in, we've put about 4 people ourselves, Friends Indeed, then our case managers stay in touch with them and try to help them with needs. Ideally, we'd like to, if we can keep them in touch, we can put them into the database for housing, and if we're able to get them housed out of this room key operation, that's fantastic, but that's not necessarily the goal. So I think, in terms of asking my opinion, I mean, I think it's a great use of space, and I appreciate the motels and hotels that are doing it, and it definitely helps the people that we are. A lot of seniors, a lot of disabled people who have compromised immune systems. So I'm in favor of the program.
Thank you. Next question.
Jan Sanders has asked, what kind of things can you use? And I'd like to modify a little bit. Can you narrow it down to the top 5 items that you're looking for?
Mm-hmm. So our gold items are these shelf staples. We need rice. We need peanut butter. We need canned fishes. Don't bring canned fruit. We got a lot of that. But kind of those staples, hearty soups, pasta sauce, things that will last. And so those are, we always need frozen meats and things like that, but we have more limited space for that. But those shelf-stable gold items, and if you go on our website, those are listed there, friendsindeedpass.org. But yeah, heavy soups, rice, canned fishes, and that those are really key items.
And can you remind us, Josh, the drop-off times for Friday and Saturday?
Sure. So yeah, Friday and Saturday at our Washington and Los Robles FID house, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Friday or Saturday, because those are days where the pantry distribution is closed, but our staff will be there and making all these bags. We had 480 bags ready to go on Tuesday that were put together by volunteers on Friday and Saturday.
Great. We have time for one more question.
The last question from Leah Snell is, can people donate citrus from their home trees?
Yes.
Very good.
All right. That was great. Thank you very much for being our speaker today.
Thank you.
Josh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Leah and George, for the work on the program committee.